the sweet nectar of the end zone for the second time in this game.
Hey, that's dope.
It has been 246 days since the Chiefs last played a meaningful football game here at Arrowhead Stadium, and that was that game against the New England Patriots in the AFC title game, where both teams were fighting to represent the AFC for the Super Bowl. And now you have two teams, 2-0, coming into this one with the Chiefs and Ravens, two of the best teams in this early part of the 2019 season, and there's a lot of excitement going into this one. I'm Chiefs reporter BJ Kissel, joined by 10-year NFL vet, played for the Chiefs, in Shawn Barber. And Shawn, there's a lot of excitement coming into this one, and for good reason, but we have to start with the weather because it is going to be a thing today.
Man, we got to start with the weather. We've seen the field, the team behind us take the field. Yeah. We feel the excitement from the fans as they go onto the field, as they go into the stadium and feel that those first raindrops, right? It's all about mental. What is your mentality going to tell you? Do you feel that the ball is wet? Do you feel like it's a little bit cold? Is the ground a little bit slushy? As a running back, are you worried about your ball security or not? Defensively, we got to be hawks. We got to punch, strip, drive, try to do anything we can to get that ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands.
Yeah, we saw it last year. This was a epic matchup between these two teams. Went down to that overtime thriller. It basically turned into a Patrick Mahomes highlight reel, and we will get into all of that. But let's start with the coaching staff real quick. And we've got Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, two guys who spent 8 years together with the Baltimore Ravens, guys that you're familiar with as well.
Man, there's so many different coaches in the league that are a disciple of the Andy Reid's coaching tree, and John Harbaugh is one of them. I had the luxury of being a part of both of their tutelage in 02 and 06 when I was with the Philadelphia Eagles. Yep. John Harbaugh was my special team coach, and of course Andy Reid was the head coach. The things I remember about Harbaugh is how just cut and just cut to the point he was about finishing each play. He was super, super obsessive about our special teams guy always finishing, blocking, engage with a guy, not letting your guy make the tackle.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've got a lot of good stuff. We are going to break it all down for you. We appreciate everybody, whether you're tuning in on YouTube or Facebook or Periscope, Twitter, the Chiefs app, wherever you're watching, we appreciate it. Keep the comments going. But right now, we're going to send it to Chiefs reporter Matt McMullen, who just got the inactives for both teams.
Thanks, BJ. Well, the inactives for today's game are out, and the big piece of news for the Chiefs is that LaShawn McCoy is active here today. McCoy, of course, had the ankle injury last week against the Raiders. He was limited in practice this week, was listed as questionable coming in, but he is active for the Chiefs here today. Bolstering a backfield that's already without Damian Williams. So expect a steady dose of McCoy, Darwin Thompson, and Darrell Williams here today, especially considering if we get some more rain here later on. For the Ravens, the big piece of news is Mark Andrews, the tight end at Oklahoma. He is active here today for them. That's big for Lamar Jackson. He's been his favorite target so far. He has 16 catches, over 200 yards, a couple touchdowns. His status will be interesting to monitor during the game if he can play on that banged up foot or not, but he's at least active here to start things out. BJ, back to you.
Hey, thanks. That's good stuff, Matt. And you make a great point right there with Mark Andrews. We know he's one of the favorite targets of Lamar Jackson, which brings us to the first point to watch in this game. It's been the discussion all week. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Lamar Jackson. Let's start with the Ravens' young quarterback. What have you seen that you like from this young kid?
Well, Lamar Jackson is what everybody saw with Mahomes last year, a guy that everybody thought was going to have an all right year, but now he shot out of a cannon in the first 2 weeks. We know he has the ability to run like an elite-level running back, and he also has a cannon. Everybody compares him to Michael Vick. I don't know if he's as accurate as Vick was with the passing game, but he's definitely as electrifying with his legs.
Yeah, first time in the Super Bowl era that two young quarterbacks have faced each other in Week 3, both completing over 70% of their passes. Both have 7 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. We'll see what the weather does, but it shouldn't be hard for you. Put that linebacker hat back on. You're going up against Lamar Jackson. What's the key for you to try to slow him down?
Man, I just want to make sure we keep him in front of us. Keep all eyes on him. That means we play a lot of zone. Unfortunately, with man coverage, you get your back turned, you're chasing receivers downfield, and once he escapes the pass rush, it's time for him to try to get big yardage, big gains. So on defense, I would like us to play a lot more zone, eyes on the quarterback. Let's make him see if he can fit the ball in small windows. Let's test his accuracy and see if he's really all-pro quarterback.
Yeah, one of the things I talked with Anthony Hitchens this week, and one of the things he told me is that he likes going up against teams like this because there's not a lot of thinking involved, that the tight end, the fullback, will generally take you to the play. There's not a lot of thinking. It's just go out there, who is the best athlete, who can go out there and make plays. And if this hype train didn't need any more oomph going into it for the home opener for the Chiefs, Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, had the quote of the century, I think, coming into this one. He said that Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes could be the next Ollie Frazier, Magic Bird, and then the next maybe Manning Brady.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, or somebody that you spent some time around with in your career as well?
Well, one of the quarterbacks is a returning MVP. The other one is just his 2 weeks into it. He's shown us a lot of things, but it's a long season.
Yeah.
And you got to be consistent. You got to stay healthy. And that's the one concern everybody has about Lamar Jackson. With the style of offense that the Ravens are using, with the amount of carries he has in the quarterback position, will he be able to last an entire NFL year taking those big hits? I doubt it.
Yeah, and we'll see what the Chiefs do, whether they put a single high back, put everybody in the box and try to hit him a little bit, try to slow him down. The weather may do that a little bit depending upon what the field conditions look like, and we won't know that till the game starts. But let's flip to the other side and talk about Patrick Mahomes and everything he's done. It's going to be a recurring segment in this show. It's like, what crazy things can Mahomes do today?
You can't talk about Pat good enough. I mean, more enough. He's an outstanding young talent in the league. We know that he can not only fit the tight windows, but he has one of the most high-powered arms, the strongest arms in the league. So I would like to see our offense really forget about the weather, forget about how wet it is, and still try to make it a vertical game. Go with the vertical passing game, get up a lot on these Ravens early on, and then see how dedicated they are to stay to their rushing attack. I think it favors the Chiefs.
Yeah, and you see Mahomes right there warming up. Looks like it was raining quite a bit earlier. It seems like that rain has subsided, at least for a little bit. I know there's a chance for the rest of the day. But the one question, and Coach Martindale, somebody that you spent time around with in your career, the one thing that all the Chiefs coaches and players said throughout this week is that they may have lost some guys from this defense last year. Zadarius Smith left in free agency, go to the Green Bay Packers. Terrell Suggs, their veteran, all-time leading everything, it seems like. Sizzle left to go to the Arizona Cardinals. And then C.J. Mosley, their star all-pro inside linebacker, left to go to the New York Jets. But they did pick up Earl Thomas, and that this defense, the scheme, they are very sound, and they will not beat themselves. They will not be out of position. You won't see a lot of blown coverages, that these guys know what they're doing. They're going to make you go out and earn it, which we heard the same thing against Jacksonville. That they're going to make you go out there and earn it. The Chiefs did then. Can they do it again?
I think they can. You got to be careful with the Ravens defense. They always try to take advantage of a matchup when it comes to their blitzing linebackers against our running backs. That's going to be something we have to be aware of every down. They try to get mismatched. They try to get their offensive linemen on the defensive linemen, but then that frees up in the A and B gaps. Their downhill linebackers getting on our running backs to try to make Pat escape the pocket a little bit early. So we see our big guys right behind us about to hit the field. Their job is to protect Mahomes. If they do that, we win the ball game.
Yeah, this is where the game's won or lost. I'm going to talk to you about that, those guys up front. But real quick, one more Patrick Mahomes statistic, because we all love Patrick Mahomes statistics, is that he has 12 straight games throwing at least 2 touchdown passes. He's just 3 games away from the NFL record, I believe, set by Peyton Manning. Just more records, and we just get the calculator out every time he goes out there, off to another fantastic start this season. People want to know how he was going to follow up his MVP season. Well, 2 of the first 3 games have been 2 of the best 3 games in his career in terms of passer rating, so I think that answered that question. But curious how the Chiefs may try and help the left side of that offensive line with Cam Irving stepping in there at left tackle. I know there was some talk about maybe moving Mitch Schwartz from the right side over to the left side, and the idea was don't try to weaken 2 of your areas.
Yes.
Don't have question marks on both sides. Just try to provide some help. How can they do that today?
Well, a weakness ain't a weakness unless you don't know it's there. Yeah. And if we acknowledge the fact that we have our second lineman stepping up for Fisher, and we're going to have to pay attention to that and either put a tight end over there. We might have to put Kelsey over there to start off the plays from that side, or we might have to have a running back chipping. You can slide the protection that way. There's so many different things you do from a protection standpoint to take care of an aspect that's not as strong as the others. I wouldn't even call it a weakness, just not as strong as the others, and still be very effective all day long.
Yep, and it's going to be something to watch as LaShawn McCoy, we know he was banged up with the ankle, did practice throughout the week and is active today, as Damian Williams is not. So the question becomes, how much do you see of Darrell Williams? How much do you see of Darwin Thompson? We talk about chipping those guys on that side, helping out in pass pro, giving Mahomes time to get the ball down the field. And that brings us to the one guy, and you just mentioned him with Travis Kelce. Does he line up on that left side? We've seen big games, and Travis Kelce's quietly had a great start to his season, but it kind of has been overshadowed a little bit by Sammy Watkins going off in week 1 for almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. And last week it was Demarcus Robinson. So Travis Kelce has back-to-back games. He's averaging about 100 yards a game, got the touchdown against the Raiders down the corner of the end zone. But what do you expect and what do you see from Travis Kelce going up against this scheme and that defense?
If you hear from the greatest, Tony Gonzalez, the greatest tight end to play the game, what is the one trait that is the most, the toughest thing as a tight end is consistency. To be available week in and week out, to put up consistent numbers, not those hills and valleys. And that's what Kelce does better than any tight end in the league. You can count him from about 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown every week.
So who's it going to be this week? Maybe it's McCole Hardman. Maybe it's Travis Kelce. Maybe we see follow-up performance from Demarcus Robinson or from Sammy Watkins. The one thing we do know with Kelce is that if he has at least 5 catches for 69 yards today, he will be the fastest tight end in NFL history to get to 425 career receptions and 5,500 yards. He will have done that in just 83 career games. So we know, we talked about how good Kelce is, but when you start talking about the fastest to reach milestones like that, it puts it in a different perspective.
Definitely, and you can always, like I said, ask Tony G. He knows how important it is to start out the gate fast and be consistent throughout the entire career. We can see Kelce being matched up against some linebackers. If Earl Holmes thinks he's going to take away the big play, that means that middle half, that middle area of the zone actually gets expanded. That's more room for Kelce to work with. I think that's a Chiefs win.
That's the great thing about having so many different weapons. That was the first thing I thought of when Earl Thomas is like, I'm going to take away all the deep plays. Like, all right, the middle of the field's open. Like, we'll take the intermediate routes, and Kelce will tear you apart in that way. But for more breaking down this matchup, we're going to send it up to the radio booth with Mitch Holtis and Kendall Gammon to talk a little bit about how we all got to trust each other.
Well, it was fresh. It was second week of December last year, Kendall, where the Chiefs played the Ravens here, maybe the toughest game of the year in the regular season. Chiefs were fortunate to win. This is a better Ravens team, and we're going to start here on the Chiefs' defensive side, and to me, it is about trust. Trust Spags' scheme. Trust yourself. Trust your teammate. Trust the scheme. Because if you don't, Lamar Jackson will make you pay.
He really will. And oftentimes you hear the cliche, stay in your lane. But when you're talking about the defensive line and the pass rush specifically, it's literally stay in your lane. Outside edges, hold the edge. Inside, stay in those lanes. Make sure that he doesn't get in an open area. Because if he does and he sees man-to-man coverage back there or he sees any gap, he's going to take off. And this is a guy that gets 10 yards like that, and he's somebody that can hurt you on the ground.
And what he's done in the offseason, give him kudos here. He has worked on his game, passing game, his footwork, his drops, whether it's a 2 or 5 or a 7. Got my attention. Yeah, it was Miami, but when Hollywood Brown ran by them, he can throw posts, he can throw the skinny post, he can throw go balls to the third level. Now all of a sudden you have to defend all 3 levels in the passing game.
Yeah, you do. And between Hollywood Brown and then the tight end who's had 8 or more catches and 100-plus yards in the first 2 games, only Ben Coates in New England has done that in the history
Andrews,
in the NFL. Yeah. But what he's shown me, Mitch, is, and you've alluded to it, is not only can he make passes, but he can throw touch balls as well, and that's something that's tough to do. And you throw those screens out there or loft balls up for people to run underneath, and that makes it difficult. So when you talked about the trust side of things, not just the front line, but also in the back, understand that you've got defenders and the safeties back there that are going to help you. Understand if you need to funnel somebody somewhere, do that. Don't try to do too much. Do your job and make sure that everybody else is doing their job, and you've got the best chance to succeed.
Sounds like a cliche, but it is the mantra of the day. Now on the offensive side, with Cam Irving taking over at left tackle now with the surgery to Eric Fisher, this is a Raven team that hit Patrick Mahomes last year 16 times in the game here, 3 sacks. They also have 20 quarterback hits in 2 weeks, Kendall. These guys will pressure you maybe as good as any team in the league.
Yeah, and that's one thing that you came in last year. You didn't know what was going to happen, but Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator, he just decided not to sit back like other teams. He came and he attacked, and he had a lot of luck with it. So you've got to expect that they're going to try this today and see if it works. But I think with that comes the misdirection. Use the entire field, use the length of the field, throw screens all over the place, and try to get people guessing. As far as the left tackle with Cam Irving taking over for Eric Fisher, make sure and see how he's handling things, and either chip if he needs it, or if he can handle it himself, all the better. But one way or the other, you don't let 1-5 get hit.
And young runners have got to step up today, whether that's Darrell Williams or Darwin Thompson, the termite. We'll see if Shady McCoy can go or not. Now, about a minute left to go. The conditions you can see behind us are lousy, and the conditions are going to be a part of this game. You played 15 years as a special teamer, handling the conditions. Special teams, it's a K-ball. You don't get to massage the ball. What about playing in these conditions?
Well, the special teams in days like this can really change things. Of course, the return game of Kansas City is one of the best. Dave Tobin, what he does, special teams coordinator, assistant head coach. We've seen the tide turned in one play, so you've got to be careful. Harbaugh he was a special teams coach coming in. He and Dave Tobin actually worked together. Dave told me this week he has tremendous success for him, respect for him. So it's going to be a test all the same.
Yeah, and Corey Moore had a 55-yard punt return in this stadium last year for the Ravens. They're really good at special teams, as are the Chiefs.
They ran a fake punt up 35-3 or something in the second quarter, so they don't care. They'll go after things.
They had a 60-yard touchdown on a fake punt. So here we go. It's the rain. It's the Ravens. Big game here. Other than the Patriots, these are probably your next two best teams in the AFC. And, BJ, they collide right here in the soil of Arrowhead Stadium.
All right, thanks, Mitch. And we are down here with a very special guest and former Chiefs running back and the all-time leading rusher in Chiefs history, Jamal Charles. Jamal, we appreciate you joining us, man.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm excited.
All right, I got a first thing. You walk into this building, do those juices start coming back?
Oh, yeah. I walked in the parking lot, and I felt like, man, I'm about to play. I got to park my car, go down the tunnel, get in the locker room. I told one of the trainers, take me up.
Man, it's one of the all-time great running backs here. Everybody's concerned about the weather. They're saying with the amount of rain, the field conditions, how does that affect a running back's mentality going into the game?
I mean, it really doesn't affect. I think it plays with your mind mentally because the defense automatically know you're going to run the ball. So it's already in your mind like, dang, they know it's a run play every time. So that's the hardest thing going through a running back mind right now. Also, it's to keep your hands clean so you won't able to fumble the ball on these wet days. But I mean, the way the game's going now, all the technologies, all the gears. I mean, quarterbacks throwing in tornadoes. You know what I'm saying?
So I think all Chiefs fans that saw when you came back and you did your one-day contract, they saw you take the handoff from Patrick Mahomes, and they had that what-if moment. But for you, watching what Patrick Mahomes is doing right now, just how special is it for you, for somebody who put everything into this?
I'm excited that Pat Mahomes is part of this franchise. I think we need a guy like that can lead our franchise into excitement, and it's bringing a new wave to the Kansas City area, bringing more people to come to this town, bringing excitement. You know what I'm saying? You doesn't see this as like a Madden player playing on Sundays. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited that we able to went after Patrick Mahomes and he able to lift us up to another height. You know what I'm saying? Now everybody's talking about Super Bowl running. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited.
Well, we got Shady McCoy, who's a veteran running back, but we also got Darwin Thompson, who's a first-year guy. If you had to give the first-year running back a little bit of advice about pass protection, because that's something that we always kind of concerned about because of his size. You not being the biggest guy, but you always always hit like a big guy. So what would you give that young man some advice on how to be a better pass protector?
I see he got passion. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't teach people passion. You can't teach people love about the game. So I see he got the passion. So I think he knows how important it is that his opportunity is coming, and he's going to dominate today because you know what I'm saying? Because some people, they don't get chances like this. And now Darren Williams is out and Shady McCord and them two is able to play together now. I think he has to step up. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like you in or next week somebody else in. So I think he's going to do a great job today.
I want to ask you about this matchup because I don't expect you to know everybody on the Ravens, but I know you know one of those guys pretty well, and Earl Thomas, who made some headlines earlier this week with he's going to take away all the big plays, which all safeties say. We talked about it earlier. All safeties make those comments. But what's it going to be like for Mahomes and McCoy and those guys, knowing that they've got Earl Thomas there at the back end of that defense?
They know they got a Sikh missile back there that can read the plays like an Ed Reed. That's a type of game that Earl try to bring to the game. Ed Reed is Earl Thomas' role model. So you know what I'm saying? He know what Ed Reed did. He tried to take a little piece from that and looks. He's excited to go against Pat Mahomes. I talked to Earl. That's like my little brother. I talked to him last night. He's like, hey, Jay, can you teach me some of their plays they run over there? I say, no. I say, just be ready. It's about to be a 7-on-7 game.
Well, I wouldn't call myself a man of faith without asking you about your faith.
Yeah.
Me and you both go to Church of the Harvest.
Yeah.
When you was in town, that's where your home church. So Church of the Harvest family say, hey, man, we're blessed to have you back in town. But speak a little bit about your faith and how that led towards your exciting in your Hall of Fame career.
I mean, I feel like everybody had to believe in something. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know what I'm saying, my belief is, everybody walks at different parts of life, and, everybody got different parts of belief. You know what I'm saying? But with my belief, I just think that that, you know what I'm saying, without God in my life, with the Most High in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? I think God set me up some things, like you never know why he set these things up. You might hate this situation, but in the 2 years, for 5 years now, you're going to be like, damn, I see why. And you got to understand it. It's not going to come to you right now, but, you know what I'm saying, I'm happy to just be able to continue to be blessed and praise God, man.
Jamal, one last question before we let you go, because I got to know what it means to you to step into this stadium and see 80,000 fans, and see a whole lot of them still wearing 25 jerseys. Just what does it mean to you that they're still repping you when they come into the stadium?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? To me, I took a passion in the game. I took a sight in the game. I hope that I inspired people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I inspired, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, to not the way I play, but on and off the field, you know what I'm saying, never getting in trouble, always in the community. I'm a Special Olympic ambassador, Boys and Girls Club. I mean, that's part of life of people, you know what I'm saying? Bringing love to not just playing football. You know, football bring people together from different walks of life, and you know what I'm saying? That's what I was trying to do. That's my goal more than anything. Try to be a Hall of Fame, but also bring people together as a community, as a different types of race, religion, no matter what belief. I just wanted to be able to bring love.
And there's absolutely no surprise from hearing that answer why he's beloved the way that you are, Jamal. We appreciate your time. And right now we're going to send to Matt McMullen, who earlier this week caught up with NFL Network's James Palmer to help break down this matchup.
Thanks, BJ. Well, I'm joined here by NFL Network's James Palmer. And James, awesome game we have coming up here between really two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now statistically, and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes, not too much of a surprise, reigning league MVP, but Lamar Jackson kind of is, especially with what he's doing with his arm. Just how has he progressed as a passer recently in your estimation? I know you've been around him recently. What have you seen from him different this year to make him a better thrower?
Yeah, really it jumped out at me when I spent time with the Ravens at training camp. You know, I was there for a couple of days and some joint practices with the Jaguars, and you look at that secondary, you know, you have Jalen Ramsey for now, you have A.J. Boye, and you have some guys back there. Hollywood Brown wasn't even participating in practice, and he was throwing dimes in one-on-ones where you know that's the only spot the ball's going to over these really top-tier corners. And there was questions about his arm, but it was how now the Ravens are using his arm, right? The throws that he's making in the position to succeed that they've put him in. It's Greg Roman's offensive system that he had a lot of success with Colin Kaepernick. I've talked to players there. It's a similar system, but they do think he's better. The group is better. Now you have him operating in a system that's designed specifically for him. This offseason, he put his input into that system. And then you look at the way Pat is, if you play in something that's designed for you, you're probably going to have some more success, and he didn't win the Heisman for nothing.
The Chiefs were the one team to beat Lamar last year when he was starting in that epic Ravens game at Arrowhead Stadium. Of course, the 4th and 9 play that Mahomes had. Just how different is Jackson now with that ability in that own offense to move the ball against this defense?
Yeah, I talked to him this week, and I asked him about that game, and he was like, listen, man, like, that is Joe Flacco's group. I didn't throw the ball to any of those guys during practices. I was working with my own guys on another time. And he said, I tried in games or whatever reps I had once I became the starter to start making it my own. It just wasn't happening. And he said it wasn't my offense. It wasn't something that I had reps in. So he said, really, they're not going to see the same guy in the same offense that they saw last year that beat him in overtime. He's excited to come out now with what he brings to the table as opposed to just going out there and filling a spot in an offense that really wasn't designed for his strengths at all.
Well, hopefully the Chiefs can slow him down. We'll see what happens on Sunday. I'll flip it over to our quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. This is also the second time he's facing this team. What do you expect from him out there on Sunday?
Yeah, the crazy thing about Pat is the second time he faces a team, he has a higher passer rating, a better completion percentage, more passing yards, and a better touchdown-to-interception ratio. So I hope Ravens fans, hear that and might be a little concerned. But, he has adapted so well in the mental side of things. So, we talk so much about the arm strength and the arms and the throws he can make, but way he picks up blitzes, the way he mentally sees defenses, and, you talk to guys on that offensive line that tell me, he sees it almost like a snapshot. And he sees it. There's that, let's go this. And it looks so easy on Sunday, in a sense. I think the mental growth he makes with another offseason with Andy Reid. And remember, this offseason was the first time he was ever able to go out and study his own cut-ups. Remember, last year going into an MVP year, he's studying cut-ups of Alex Smith. Now he got to watch himself do it and improve on what he saw himself play. I mean, he's already off to a smoking start, and I don't see it slowing down at all.
Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to this one. James, appreciate your time. BJ, back to you.
All right, welcome back to the Locker Room Club, getting ready for Chiefs and Ravens. Now, right now, Shawn, we're going to take a little trip around the AFC West because the Chiefs aren't the only team playing at noon right now. You've got the Broncos and Raiders that are also playing in the noon games, first of the noon o'clock hour. So the first one, Broncos at Packers. Packers 2-0.
Yep.
Saw the dominant performance defensively in that Week 1 game, and last week got another win. Dalvin Cook got some yards against them in that Packers defense. But what do you think between the Broncos at the Packers? What do you like about that?
I think you
matchup?
said it best, man. It's going to be a battle of two really top-level defenses. Surprisingly, the Broncos, Chubb and Miller have not recorded a sack yet this season. So if there's a year for them to have a breakout performance, I think it's this week versus the Packers. They're going to really need it. Aaron Rodgers at home is kind of hard to beat. So if you got Aaron Rodgers, definitely put him in your lineup.
Yeah, we see make sure Joe Flacco doesn't hold on to the ball too long if you're a Broncos offensive lineman. We've seen that. Other game, Raiders at Vikings. What do you like about this one?
Well, the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, they guaranteed him $84 million, and I don't think they've got a return on their investment yet. So if there's a time for Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, and my man Thielen to come around for the Vikings against the Raiders, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it'll also be interesting to see how the Raiders bounce back from that loss last week where they came out hot. They were feeling really good about themselves in the last 49 minutes of that game. The Chiefs kind of snatched their soul a little bit for as excited and as pumped up as that crowd had gotten. And then finally, the 3:25 kickoff Central Time, you've got the Chargers against the Texans.
Besides our game, that's probably the most interesting game of the division.
Yeah.
The Chargers and their offense came down to the end and almost got themselves a victory at the end of the game last week. But going into this week, I think they're going to really get back on pace, get back on schedule, and really take it to the Texans.
Yeah, those are two really good teams. At the end of the season, you're going to look back and try to figure out, those last 3 or 4 weeks, if we get a win here, if we get a win, this is going to be one of those games they look back at that both those teams are going to wish they had won to set themselves up for the playoffs. Now, a couple other intriguing games to watch across the NFL and not just the AFC West Pacific. We have the 0-2 Pittsburgh Steelers who just made the move for Minka Fitzpatrick, had the injury to Big Ben. He got Mason Rudolph, the former Oklahoma State Cowboy, now at quarterback, and they are going up against the 2-0 San Francisco 49ers. Surprised a lot of people that they've started off so well.
Yeah, I like the 49ers. I like what they did. They've kind of circled the wagons kind of around Coach Shanahan, and their offense has been kind of putting up a lot of points where everybody thought that was going to be a defensive team. So look forward to the 49ers continuing their win streak. They won 2 games on the road, which is hard to do. We know it. But to be able to go back home and first home game of the season, I think the 49ers might win that one.
All right, and finally, the two of the most hyped teams in the NFL and the LA Rams, and for good reason. We got the LA Rams against the Cleveland Browns at 1-1. They had all this buzz coming into the season, and then it's been kind of back and forth of what they expect. This is the measuring stick for the Rams.
We've seen the Jekyll and Hyde of the Browns. We've seen them on their good days, and we see them on their worst days. Today against the Rams, expect to see the worst of the Browns. If there's a time for them to push the panic button, the first time you see OBJ run the wrong route and Baker Mayfield throw an interception, everything will break loose. So I don't know how that coaching staff is going to keep that team together all year long, but this could be the beginning of the end.
Everybody spends so much time talking about all the talent they acquire. They didn't talk about the fact that Freddie Kitchens hasn't been around all that long as the head coach to figure out how to keep all those guys together. And this is going to be a huge test to see how they prepared this week and how they handle going up against a team that's had the success that the Rams have.
Definitely.
And now we're going to get into your favorite segment of the show. As you guys are out there right now scrambling, trying to figure out your last-minute fantasy football decisions. Well, you're in luck, and we have a fantasy football expert right here who's in 10 leagues.
10 different leagues.
10 different leagues. The guy knows every little thing, every little detail, and if you've been paying attention on Field Pass, you've seen those nuggets, and you've taken advantage of them, and it's helped you out. So you've got your 3 sleepers.
3 sleepers of the week.
First one is going to make Chiefs fans happy. Running back Darwin Thompson. Why do you like him today?
Hey, man, Darwin is facing a defense that's going to be trying to stop Pat Mahomes. So they're going to be playing pass first. We have Williams is out. Shady McCoy is might be limited. So Darwin Thompson may have the opportunity to get a lot of snaps. If the way this game goes, I think we're going to still go pass heavy. He can do a lot of damage out the backfield once that Ravens defense plays that deep to short, like Earl Thomas say. Take away the deep ball and you get some check downs to Darwin Thompson. So big game out of DT.
All right, now we got the wide receivers. And to break it down, it's to show you how big a fantasy football nerd you are. You broke it down by, you've got 2 receivers that are sleepers, one for a PPR league and one for a standard points league. You got Randall Cobb and Devin Smith, a name that might sound familiar from a few years ago, dealt with some injuries, and now he's back making plays.
Both guys are from the Cowboys, and I think that Cowboy offense has been hitting all cylinders. If you got a PPR, you want the possession receiver, so you go with Randall Cobb. But if you want that big big playability from a standard league, you want those big chunk plays, you got to go with the other guy. Another guy can definitely put together a great outing today against that Dolphins defense that's been giving up so many points to everybody they've played against so far this year.
Yep, start everybody against the Dolphins. And then finally, Jimmy Garoppolo is your sleeper quarterback. Why do you like him?
I told you what I thought about Shanahan. They're circling the wagons around him. He's always been one of the great play callers of the league, and they're facing a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that is 5th against quarterbacks this year. So when you got a trend like that, you got to go ahead and start that guy.
All right, we got kickoff coming up in about 20 minutes. The Chiefs looking to start 3-0 for the 3rd straight season, which would tie a franchise record. But before we let you go, Shawn, we're going to give you the platform, the table. Do you have any final thoughts before we get ready for this one?
Everybody's worrying about how wet it is and the weather. But when you go out on the field, it stopped raining. Advantage Chiefs, we're going to air it out. Another career day from Pat Mahomes. The only thing you got to be concerned about is turnovers. Turnovers are the ultimate equalizer. So let's control the ball. Let's possess the ball. Take care of the turnover ratio, the turnover battle. Chiefs bring home a win.
Like I said when we started the show, 246 days since the Chiefs last played a meaningful football game here at Arrowhead Stadium. We know the coaches and the players are all fired up. We saw the fans out there tailgating.
Definitely.
Saw reports on social media that they were out there at 3 o'clock in the morning in the pouring down rain, getting ready to tailgating before they were allowed to get in there and tailgate. We know they're fired up, and they will be heard no matter how much it's raining, snowing, whatever the conditions are. They will be heard, and we are excited about this one. And so make sure you tune in. The game is on CBS, and afterwards, Mitch Holtis and Shawn Barber will break it all down on Chiefs Rewind. We appreciate everybody watching. We'll see you after the game.